Welcome everyone to this exciting, dynamic conversation with artists who have participated in the most recent Thou Art Woman conversation, which includes not only LGBTQ plus uh, members of the art community, but also allies. So let's look at this brief pre-recorded conversation about Thou Art Woman introducing this organization.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us at the Thou Art Woman from Rain to Rainbow's Artist Talk. This exhibition has been displayed at the fabulous Courtyard by Marriott, Fort Lauderdale downtown since December 2023 and will run until June 6th, and where we'll have a fabulous closing party on the rooftop pool. I'm G. Wright. I'm one of the co-founders of Thou Art Woman and the executive director of BLINC, which is a nonprofit that produces Thou Art Woman. I'm also one of the curators of this exhibition. Before you hear from the talented artists, we want to share a little bit about the theme of this show, From Rain to Rainbows.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nick Harris, and I use she, they pronouns, and I am the other co founder of BLINC. And so the reality is that LGBTQ plus people, we believe at BLINC in celebrating the vibrancy and the joy in our lives. But we also recognize that we live in the state of Florida. We also recognize that right now across the country, LGBTQ plus people, families, and our lives are literally under attack. So that's where the theme Rain to Rainbows came from. It was the idea that it was rooted in was that even when it's rain, we always know how to create rainbows. And so our goal was to sort of show that even in adversity, we still can find joy. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our amazing curator, Hannah Loomis.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Hannah, and I serve as the art curator at the Courtyard by Marriott in downtown Fort Lauderdale. As a curator, one of my top priorities is just extending that opportunity to up-and-coming artists to share their art and their stories. The coolest part about selecting artwork for a hotel is that thousands of people get to see this artwork. So you've really got an opportunity for that exposure. Maybe these guests are art lovers. Maybe they've never even stepped foot in an art gallery before. But my intention is to share that artwork that will inspire and educate. So really ask myself how I can serve the community with a message that's meaningful and important in today's world. With that said, From Rain to Rainbows could not have been more aligned with our mission as a brand. I am so proud to have contributed to it. And when selecting the artwork for the show, we really focused on artwork that told a story that makes you feel something really deeply, that makes you feel what the artist was going through. And we can see that in the exhibition through color, through shapes, symbolism, and themes throughout the artwork. As an ally of the LGBTQ plus community, it's been really fulfilling to see this show come to life. So big shout out to G and Nick and all of the wonderful artists. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hannah. And we're just so grateful to the Courtyard by Marriott for this great opportunity to give our artists and our LGBTQ community this opportunity to engage with in a very organic way. We know that, as you said, thousands of artists, hopefully thousands of people in the community are engaging with our art and encountering us very organically, and that's a great opportunity for us. So we want to thank the Courtyard, thank all of our talented artists for being in this exhibition, and everybody who's been coming out for our programming, and also thanks to our funders for supporting this program.
Thank you so much to BLINC and Courtyard at the Marriott and Hannah for curating this exhibition with BLINC to make this opportunity possible. So now we'd like to dive directly into what you came here for, which is to talk about the art that we're seeing. Or if you're not able to view it physically, you'll get some insight into what the artists are thinking of when they're creating their masterpieces. So, um, let's go ahead and get into that. Um, the first artist we'll highlight is Daniela. And this is one of the pieces that's in the show. And so we'll just quickly show you their works, and then we'll get into the conversation, a roundtable type of virtual activity, right? So Daniela's Glow My Heart. Here she is. Um, and what I'd like for all of the artists present today, and unfortunately, not all artists are able to be here for whatever reason. Life is lifing, okay? But thankfully, Daniela is here. So when we pull up the artist images, we're going to ask that you tell us a little bit about your approach to this exhibition and the choice you made for what you submitted.
Hey
So,
people, I guess it's my turn. Hey,
it is.
for the invitation, for me it was like so special to be with this exhibition. For me, it was in believing in the power that art is to connect and to spark a meaningful connection with people. That was my opportunity. I always like to create art that is powerful in colors, because for me it's like a way to project happiness, joy, um, pride that we have. So when I saw this opportunity, I went, I applied, and I feel really grateful to be part of this.
Mhm. Mhm. Awesome.
And now,
So you
oh
have
yes,
two
it's
works in this exhibition.
yeah,
This is her second piece, Colorful Splash.
yeah. So it came like it happened to be that I create like that like a couple months ago, from the exhibition. And when I saw like, hey, it was like about rainbows and about pride, one more than that. It was just made for that. And I'm happy that people like is able to see it and get inspired to other people with.
Okay. Awesome. And um, is there anything in particular you want us to know about your art practice outside of your engagement in this particular exhibition? As an artist, what inspires and guides you?
Well, just to say, I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I'm always being attracted to creating. It's my passion. So, beside painting, I do murals, I do sculptures. I'm always looking for the opportunity to create art for people to see and create that like meaningful conversations behind that, because I think that art in all the ways is really important for our life. It gives us it gives us inspiration to continue to get like the sadness out, or to like overcome any
Mm.
trauma, or many other stuff. So hey, I work with everything. My passion is creating. I've been in this world as an artist like for more than 15 years already. And I have like around 8 years here in the US. So I'm really happy to be here because it's a place where I can explore more my artistic goals. Um, yeah,
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
you're
So the
welcome.
next artist we have present here today is G, actually one of the founders of Thou Art Woman.
Yes.
And I know that G has expressed that she's not artist, but she has found herself in the space for creating art. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about yourself and how you approach your non-art art practice.
So I just want to clarify. So I don't consider myself a visual artist, but in terms of written word, I do write. I do perform in some ways, but and I understand that in this way I am a visual artist. But it's just that this was so difficult for me. I don't really think I'll ever do it again. So
Hmm.
I got to do this piece as a part of a workshop at the Island Space Caribbean Museum called Through the Caribbean Lens a couple of years ago, and I decided to photograph this Haitian beautiful couple, their wives, and I wanted to do that because I wanted to bring more visibility to the queer community in the Caribbean community. I'm Jamaican, and so that was really important for me. So I'm all about really amplifying our voice and visibility as LGBTQ folks in our communities. And so even like in founding the Art Woman, one of the big things for us was creating a space so we could do shows like this, you know. So yeah, so this is one of the two pieces that I did for that show that was selected to do this piece. I went to these women's home twice, kind of against their will, well, not really, but it's like really had to push them to like, let me come in your home and photograph y'all for hours and hours. I really wanted to capture them in their very natural state, like kind of just like be fly on the wall and show like a lesbian couple just chilling. They're chilling on the phone. The other picture I have, I think there's like in the kitchen or in their hallway.
Hmm. Absolutely. So that's wonderful that in the space of creating space for others, you found a way to create space for yourself.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
funny because I've been always hosting the actual, you know, the Art Woman started as an open mic night 10 years ago. And so we started
mm,
off with doing poetry, spoken word, and everything live performance. And a few years later, it was really like the community saying, can you also create a space for visual artists? So that's how that came into being. I didn't see myself having a piece in the show. I didn't plan to do anything in the visual art piece. But when I did the workshop at the museum, I'm like, the next year, I'm like, hold on, this fits exactly for the art woman. So it worked out really well.
mhm. All right, awesome. Okay, so let's meet our next artist. Jane,
Hello, hello.
fellow Virgo.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to tell us a little bit about um, how you approached your desire to participate in this exhibition, what works you chose, and I know you have a variety of work that you create. So give us some insights.
Okay. Well, I have been a supporter of the Art Woman for a long time. I've participated as a performer in the open mics and, of course, as an artist and also in the audience. So, my goal as an artist actually is to find beauty in unexpected places and share new ways of looking at the world. So, what I did with this piece was I decided to take a single flower and expand the reality of the flower into a jungle. Take one flower and make it into a jungle. So that's basically what I did with this piece. Just to sort of, expand our perception of the world and, you know, whether it's your imagination or whether it could exist in nature doesn't really matter. It's just the beauty of it for me. So after I did this piece, I wound up doing a whole flower jungle series with a lot of different flowers, and they're all really different from each other. But this is really one of my favorite ones. Uh, and people just really like it. So I thought this would be nice for this show. I also do a lot of art to empower women. And I've been getting lately more into my spirituality. So I've been doing more abstracts and just things that take me and hopefully the viewer into a more spiritual place.
Mhm. Awesome. Okay, thank you. Let's get into our next artist and meet them. Oh, it's me. So, in addition to moderating this conversation, I also participate in this exhibition. Um, so, I have a couple of drawings that are in this show, and they are very meticulous, time consuming works, graphite on paper. And the purpose for creating these works is to really speak about the labor that is done um, under the radar of labor, really, or that's unseen. So the unseen labor that happens. And, you know, this is a simple image. The drawings are very simple visually, but they require many, many hours of engagement. And that is a personal expression of honoring labor. Okay. So let's meet the next. Oh, so boom, let's meet the next artist. All right. Sienna. She in the room? There you are.
Hi. Hey. Okay. So yeah, I I started painting butterflies on wood really after I'd had some other project that I'd worked on that I had leftover wood from some building project. And I had looked at it and been just kind of wondering what to do with this random plank of wood. And I really love butterflies. I grew up in Southwest Colorado, and there are a lot of just in the mountains. So a lot of time spent looking at nature. There wasn't a lot else to do, so lots of nature looking at. And I thought that it would be a really cool thing to just kind of lay out butterflies that are as they appear in nature. They are all the butterflies on this piece of wood are measured out and researched, so they are actually those colors, that size. But I thought that it would be a really cool thing to display them as butterflies in a rainbow or in different pride flags, as I believe that we as queer people are very changing and growth focused, and the way that butterflies go through so many different stages of growth was inspiration for it.
Hmm. That's wonderful, inspiring, and clearly you take the butterfly with you everywhere you go. So,
Yeah, just
it's,
yeah. Otherwise, I tattoo outside of this, so I
mhm.
had a lot of fun with my own arm.
Oh, okay. So, I'm not trying to, bring up your personal business, but I can see it. So, clearly what you believe within, you have engraved it in your skin.
Mm-hmm.
And as artists, this is something that we do. If you're a true artist and you really dig into what's important to you, what you perceive in the world as important, you walk that walk. You barely even have to talk it, but you do through your art. So that's beautiful.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate
So thank you.
it.
All right. So who's next? Think Tony, maybe? No. Oh, Zipporah. Hey. So this is Spectrum 2, and she has two works in this exhibition. You got your volume on?
Hello, you guys can hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yes, this is Spectrum 2. It's actually part of an entire series that I was doing. This is mainly me personifying or giving like physical profiles to the LGBTQ flags. This one in the series was particularly the one that we all know, the LGBTQ with the trans flag included and the intersex one as well. Because part of what I do in my portfolio is creating profiles, whether they be historical or cultural, and sometimes they're usually an amalgamation of a current event, which is pretty much following the theme with that. So this is me giving like personification of the LGBTQ flag, which the rest of the Spectrum series does that, just giving, which is giving the entire series of flags that pertains to the LGBTQ community, such as lesbianism or omnisexual, pretty much the unique part of the spectrum, hence why the series is called Spectrum.
Awesome. Thank you. Do we have an image of the other work that's in there? Okay.
I don't
All
believe
right. So
Okay.
maybe later it'll pop up, but let's go ahead and meet our next artist. Okay. Lana, are you here? Tony. So Tony is actually you collaborate with your partner to create works. So
Exactly.
tell us a little bit about your process and why you wanted to participate in this exhibition.
So our particip first of all, really want to thank the whole team, Thou Art Woman crew, for including Royal Brown Photography in this project. What amazing artists! And our collaboration with Thou Art Woman was a little bit different. It was an extension of a Black Love photo exhibit that we had done, and the idea was to make it an extension into video, to interview couples and have them tell us their stories. And so for me, I'm visual, I'm a photographer. My wife is the interviewer. So we worked as a team and set up the shots, but it went from being this exhibit project photo shoot for me in my head kind of thing to really getting to know each of our couples, learning their stories. I mean, each one we started off with, what is your love story? And from the moment they met all along the way, but we really got to not just record them and edit the stuff into a piece of work. I feel like we have a bond with everybody that we worked with, and for a bond that'll last forever. And what's cool about it for me is that like when I first heard, oh, Thou Art Woman, oh, well, it has to be women based. It wasn't about that. It went from being Thou Art Woman to Thou Art People, humanity. That's what I felt like we were interviewing. We were interviewing humanity. And you heard Nick earlier talking about our state being under attack, and interviewing these folks on the video, for the video, if you get a chance to check it out, and hearing their stories, survivors through that, their love surviving through these attacks is, it was an honor to be able to work on it. And again, to work with all of you. So thank you for allowing us to be a part of it. And thank you for having me today. And my wife sends her regards as well.
Yeah, I'll just jump in because we had an amazing experience partnering with Royal Brown Photography to do this project, and just really thank the folks who all interviewed because there was so much vulnerability. So maybe like 8 or 10 couples. And I just remember, like, for most folks, they had shared things that they had never shared with even each other in that way. So to do it in a very public format, and just felt like, in addition to the photography, which we love the photo shoot, we wanted folks to just really hear from people in the community, and to hear how, we celebrate queer love in a very visual way, and love that in addition to the photography and paintings, that we could have like this moving image as well as a part of the exhibition. So big up and thanks to Denise and Tony of Royal Brown Photography.
Thank you. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Jean.
Absolutely. And what's wonderful about this is that, you know, video is it's kind of a one-off. We don't really often think about. And in the arts community, so in the arts community, are there's some hateration that happens. Okay. So sometimes, painters or ceramicists or photographers, it's like we think we're better than you for whatever reason. And this is something that is problematic because there can be really awesome dynamic collaborations that happen. So, when you have different type of hierarchies, it's troublesome, and representation is important. So to have this video representation in this exhibit is great. So, wonderful. So let's talk about, if we can put all the artists in the mix. Let's talk about how you make your material choices, because it's relevant. I know that Lana spoke a little bit about her material choices. But like, how do you make your material choices?
Well, I could say as a photographer, some of my images have more of a painterly feel to them. And so then I would print them on canvas, which I did with the one that is in this show. Sometimes some of my images I want to be really sharp or really popped. And so then I would print them on metal or metallic paper. Of course, I also like to I like the classic frame print also. And then when I do commission work, it depends on the taste of the collector, and whatever they want it printed on is fine. So that's sort of how I make my decisions.
Okay.
Okay.
What about you, Zipporah? How do you make your material choices? Well, you described a little bit about the materials you use. So you use ink and paint, acrylics. So tell us a little bit about the materials you choose to use and how you make those choices.
Well, primarily in my portfolio, I use acrylic paint, but sometimes for profiles, I use just mixed media, just anything I can mix in with dry medium and wet medium together. So it's usually like a wash of acrylic over a lot of dry medium, like color pencil and pen. But yeah, in this one in particular, um, I just made the decision of mixing it all up. Like I figured this time would be appropriate. I wasn't making I wasn't making a big piece. I was making a big fluctuating series. So in this case, like it just was more intuitive rather than whether or not it was going to be time consuming. Like I mean, I'm pretty much doing a whole spectrum of the LGBTQ flags. So it's just more important. It's just more appropriate that I use like more than one medium, because I can't just express everything in just bold acrylic in this case. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. What about you, Daniela?
Well,
How
when
do
I
you make
want
your medium choices?
well, that's an explosion of different things, because sometimes you get into you don't know what you're gonna do. If you're going to do a painting, if you're going to do a sculpture, or whatever. If you see this part over there, I have different little things of materials. I like to use recycled materials to create some collages and put it into the art. I like to use also acrylics, jump with acrylic textures. I use a lot of textures with different different materials, like from clay, from a heavy body acrylic, um, different papers that I found, like books. So I do a lot of mixed media. So when I'm going to do something that it costs me, is just to get in the studio and pull all the materials out and see what I get out of that.
Mhm. Mm. So it sounds like it's a very intuitive process.
So
I know
that's
as an artist myself, there have been times where I would like to intuit something that I can't do because I don't have the tools or don't have the materials. So it's like, now it becomes a problem solving opportunity. So I need to make this big old thing. How do I do it with the tools I have on hand? Or how do I source the tools? Um, and it sounds like
when
that,
creativity
that's
comes
something
out
that
and you
you're
mix.
you're in. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's when the creativity jumps, you know, because it's like, okay, I don't have these materials, but I don't want to stop right now because I don't have this material. I'm not going right now to go and buy the material. So let me put another thing. Let me get another idea or something like that. Because if you get stuck in something, I think like sometimes it doesn't like art doesn't flow. Sometimes you have to let it flow or whatever, like like your mind and your feelings in that moment.
Mm. Ah, your mind is the seed. I should write that down. Your mind is the seed. So whatever is gonna grow is what's been planted. So that's
Yeah.
wonderful. Um, that makes me think of a little bit about what Tony was mentioning, and I don't know if we lost Tony for the night, but what Tony was mentioning about making a love story. Um, so your love story and what is love? And so when we talk about you know, they call it the alphabet community, right? This is air quotes, right? The LGBTQ plus IA community and our allies. Um, what is love and what gets us through this life? Um, and I imagine it is essentially love. Because why else are we here? To be angry and fight and war, maybe, but that's for you to decide as an individual. Any individual decides what they think this life is about, right? But when you're talking about, you have to do what you need to do in order to make what needs to happen for yourself, that kind of made me think of what Tony was saying about, what is love and kind of capturing that. So, um, what is love and how do you love how do you put your love into your work? Because being an artist is not about getting rich, it can be if you have some awesome patrons, but being an artist is not we all know it's not about getting rich. It's about loving what we're doing. So what is love to you as you pour yourself into your art practice?
I mean, I can only speak for myself. The more it's a journey for me with photography, videography. I fall in love with it each time I work on a new project. Every time I do something new and push the envelope and try something that I've never done before. So my love, I fall in love with every single thing that I do. If I go and shoot something, a different type of portrait. Again, this was a very, very new to me. And being able to have conversations with folks and be vulnerable myself, it took my art to another level. And I took that love into other projects. So now that'll never go away. Can you ask me what the love, what love is? To me, I love being creative. I heard one of the other artists talking about doing mixed media pieces. So yeah, I for this project, I did a video. I do mixed media pieces in my studio all the time. This is my piece behind me, right? I'm not in a box. For me, I love being an artist because I can be whatever I want. I decide, just like you were saying, I don't have the materials today. Guess what? I'm making materials out of that. I'm going to make art out of this. There's some freedom there. There's a lot of freedom in being who you want to be and loving that. And I'm learning how to love it. I'm in my 50s. I was introduced to my art fully in my 40 years old. So it hasn't been that long. And I'm really getting good at loving it. So that's what I think love is. That's just my 2 cents.
All right. Jane, you want to chime in on that? Like, yeah, how do you love your art practice? How do you pour your love into your art practice? Or do you hate it? Sometimes you could be mad at your art practice. Like that can happen. And you can be like, why is this failing? So like just share with us a little bit about your relationship with your art practice and how you make sure you love it.
Okay, well, the only thing that I don't like about it is that I would like to have more time to spend doing it between doing photo shoots and doing post-production work. I want to spend more time doing it. I love being creative. I get really excited when I'm working on a piece and it just comes together. And I did a piece recently. I was lucky enough to go to see the total solar eclipse in Indiana in the 100% part where you could take off your glasses for 4 minutes. And I took a picture of the total eclipse and then I worked with it and I made this really sort of cosmic image out of it, which I've been getting more into my spirituality recently. And I've been doing more images that are abstract or just get me into, express my spirituality. And in fact, that new piece I was just mentioning is on display now at Hotspots Art Gallery. So it makes me feel very fulfilled, and I just love being able to be creative and express myself on many levels. And also I do a lot of work to empower women, especially lesbians. I've been a lesbian feminist for over 50 years. And so I have a lot of experience in that. And so I just really love what I do. I love being creative and I want to just continue to do it as long as I can.
Satisfying.
Well, we have a question that actually popped up that I think is interesting that speaks directly to what you're saying. What advice would you give to LGBTQIA plus artists who may feel afraid to express themselves? Because you have been fearlessly expressing yourself out and proud for many years. So what advice would you give to young artists who what advice would you give?
Go
Well,
for it.
it's,
If you're under 18, be careful.
well,
No,
I
no,
know.
this is a safe space. You could,
Uh-huh.
you don't have to be too careful,
Uh-huh.
but
Well,
careful enough.
if you're, start out doing your art for yourself and just show it to people that, are okay with it. But I know like one local to South Florida group, Arts United, is an LGBT artist and allies artist organization. So when I first moved to Florida 15 years ago, I had never shown any of my art. And it was a very supportive group, a very safe space, a lot of LGBTQ affirming art. And I would recommend checking that out, joining, and starting to put pieces in that. And as a matter of fact, if I could put a plug in for Arts United, tomorrow night is their annual meeting and member appreciation at Hotspots Art Gallery in Wilton Manors. Everyone's welcome. If you want to find out more about the organization, that would be a great time to do it. So that would be my recommendation, and just, maybe take it gradually, but put feelers out there, join Arts United, and take it from there. Be fearless.
Awesome. That's excellent advice from a sage woman. Um, so, well, you may or may not have noticed if you've been watching from the beginning that Sienna has doubled. So now Lana's in the room. So if you want to take a moment to introduce yourself, thank you for popping in and, getting into the groove of this conversation. If there's just introduce yourself, your art practice.
Okay, absolutely. Hi, my name is Lana. She, they pronouns. My other job as a personal trainer got a late ask for me to, extend my hours. So I apologize for being late, but I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk with you guys and just hear and see you guys again and hear more about your pieces. The piece that I entered into this exhibit is one that was taken while we were in London for your birthday a few years back. And we actually did a street art tour in which they showed all the different artists and the different mediums and ways that they express themselves. And I absolutely loved it. And I always had Sienna's camera around my neck because I like to take pictures. And I've grown up in a family that athletics and more what you could do physically with your body was how we expressed ourselves a lot. And I've always had an artistic side that was different than that. A lot of it comes out through music. I used to play the drums. I like to mix my own music. For a long time, I used to draw. And then I started getting into cameras and into taking pictures. And so this was actually a picture taken at the end of our street art tour because they allowed us to get these papers and we would draw and then cut out our stencils. And then we were able to kind of tag things with the artwork that we had created during that time. And I thought that was so cool. And then I took a step back and I saw all the kind of picnic tables and people had tagged layers on top of layers on top of layers of just their expression. And there were paint cans that were just sitting on the edge. And something about it just really resonated with me of just the different forms that people come up with for showing their just authentic self. And so I just got down, snapped that picture and just loved it and really wanted to also take that memory and that experience with me in another way. Cause I also have the stencil still. I love that stencil. But I also wanted to take a picture to kind of commemorate that moment. So that's my piece and a little bit about me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we're so glad that you were able to, come through.
Yeah.
as you speak about, so you entered something into my brain.
Yes.
As you think about how art affects you, as we all manage this world, everything is art, right? So architecture, the stop sign, everything is art. So as we maneuver this world, um, you know, what if there were no art? Imagine there were no art. Like, what would be something that you would like if you had to write a, you know, dear art, I'm sorry that you're dead letter, right?
Yeah.
So there is no more art. What would you say to art? Zipporah, what would you say? That would, y'all put you on the spot. I know you. That was an intense question. You want to go second and go to
No,
Daniela?
it's fine. Like,
Okay.
because that was a question asked in a group that I was in before, but even then, it's hard to say if art truly dies because even even minimalism or no arrangement of any kind is still a thought process and things would still come to mind. I mean, creativity just seemed too inevitable for it to just not exist. I mean, that's where I stand with that.
Wow. I thought I made that up.
Mm.
I thought I made that question up.
Mm.
Okay. All right. What would you say to art, Daniela, if it no longer existed at the funeral?
What's the question again? Sorry, I get distracted. If you can do it. No, no. If no longer exists, what?
If there's no
Hello.
more art and you're at art's funeral, you give the eulogy and you say goodbye, what would you say?
Till the next life. Till the next life, because I think like we're gonna be art even if we are not here in this world. We still part of energy, and I believe that the art is an energy too. So that will that will stay.
Interesting. That reminds me of what Jane was speaking about earlier. She didn't give us explicit details because that's her personal business, obviously, but that she's been delving into spirituality, and that sounds like a very spiritual thing you're saying, is that art, it transcends this life. It's going to go on forever, and if it dies here, it'll come back to life somewhere else. And that is really a hopeful, beautiful thing to say.
I mean, think about when you go to
Jane,
Rome. If you're in Rome, right, and you go and you see the
yeah,
ruins and you see how it's all laid out. It's just someone could look at it and just say, oh, it's just rocks, and that's not really. But if you stand there, or when I stood there, and let me speak for myself, when I stood there, I closed my eyes and I thought of how it looked when they made it. So it never goes away. It doesn't die. It does in my opinion, art transcends. The pieces that we still talk about, they're going to be talking about it long after we're gone. And so, they'll be talking about Banksy and the different artists, and they'll be talking about you guys and ladies and gentlemen and people, everybody. They'll be talking about all of us long after we're gone, because it doesn't end. It doesn't end, especially now with technology. It's that video that they had with all your pieces on there, someone's going to watch that later on and be like, I can't believe I have one of those pieces. You know, that's how it works. There it is. Look, this is it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as you speak of technology, that's really an important thing to bring up, that, with wait, how do you say it? Technological advances. Um, there's so much information that we can harvest in order to speak to the past, and the future can relate to that. So this show has been well documented. But let's talk about the show and what it does for the now. So you've all seen your work in the show, right? Yes. Okay. So you've all seen your work in the show, and hopefully you've been to some of the events where your work was being viewed. And, let's just talk a little bit about your experience of your artwork at this hotel that is a premier Miami space to go to. So, what was your experience of seeing your work in this hotel? Tony.
I have not been there yet. I haven't seen the video. I've seen the video.
Oh,
I've not
Fort
seen it
Lauderdale, my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So this is downtown Fort Lauderdale. What you're seeing now is images or video of the opening reception, which was a really beautiful space for communion and connection. So let's talk a little bit about how downtown Fort Lauderdale made it happen. We got dancing and good times. But there's also the art that brought us all there together. So Tony, what was your experience of seeing your work in this space?
So I haven't seen it. I haven't.
Oh.
I've been working. I've been on the road. I've been on the go, and so the different events I've not been able to make it. I was planning on coming to the closing reception, but this is the first time I saw this video. I'm watching it right now, and it's really cool, and it's exciting to see everybody's work, and I like it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for those of you who were there or who have had opportunity, and you still have the space to see it, so there is going to be a closing activity, and we'll mention that in a couple moments. We're gonna go over a couple of minutes. We started a couple minutes late, but so those of you who have had the space to see your work there and experience people experiencing your work, what are your thoughts and observations?
Sure.
Yeah.
It was a cool experience. I mean, you saw like in literally the video, I'm standing there at that section you were talking, but there's like a set of my friends and I'm kind of pointing around showing like, oh yeah, so like our stuff's here, like this is Big's, this is mine. And then if you look over on the walls over there, like you can just kind of see all over the place. And I thought that it was really cool because it also wasn't just a segmented off space. Like, yeah, that's me with my gray streak. It's not a segmented off space. It's a very public space where people are engaging. They're having meals. They're having conversations. It's not something that's pushed to the side. And I think that especially as people in the queer community, people who are LGBT or are focusing on those topics, it's really important for us to be in the spaces and like kind of in your face, but not in your face. It's just that allowance to be seen and yeah, the exposure and just seen for the beauty that we bring into the world.
Awesome. And there's a link that has been applied to this conversation where you can see a virtual tour of what has been shown here and more. Uh, but yes, that's beautiful. Like to see that. Okay, so Zipporah, what about you? What do you think? How was your experience of seeing people there enjoying your work or not? But your experience of people experiencing your work.
No, I agree with Sienna. It was it was a different vibe than what I would usually get from um, art fairs and gallery spaces where it's a whole conventional space that's, designated specifically for the artwork, which is very, which is pretty much trying to find the word for it. I mean, because the space was very public and accessible, like you feel like you can run into like more than one group. Like it felt more like a community rather than just um, networking for business.
Mm.
But yes,
Wonderful.
I would say like I had like a great experience. I invited my brother and my mom to this show. Like they had a great time. Like it was like they loved how it was more of a lounge feel more than just oh, we're just gonna walk around this space and then go back to the reception area. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I say that's the
Mm-hmm.
best way I can describe it, like it being cozy.
Mm. Yeah. All right. Daniela, do you have anything you want to share about that?
Yeah, we all the other ladies that they talk here, and it was like a nice experience to meet other artists, excellent artists, to have like a really good time because we was dancing, it was drums, it was a mix of everything. So hey, I enjoyed the opportunity, and it was like a really nice moment to connect with other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wonderful to point out that we're not making art for it to be concealed in spaces. We're making art for it to be viewed, and the conversations are happening as a result of it not being, you know, concealed in some conference room or something like this. It's in the open spaces, and that requires conversation, whether or not guests like it. They might just be trying to go to the bar down the road, you know. But guess what? They're confronted with this conversation and they get to choose to have it or not. So we're all part of this conversation. And I appreciate you all for being here for that and, participating in it. Um, do we have any questions? I mean, we're at the hour mark, so we want to respect people's time, but do we have any questions that we want to? Nothing's popping up. And Thou Art Woman, I do want to say they have a great team of people, Khalib and Ashley, of course, Gia and Nick. Um, but they have a great team of people who are making things come together and stay together. So we appreciate that and we want to acknowledge that. So definitely you want to go to the BLINC website and download whatever is there. Okay. Um, so Gigi, do you want to close out and have any closing information you want to share?
Well, first of all, let me thank you, Carla, for moderating this great virtual artist talk for us. We have this event at the hotel in Fort Lauderdale, but having this virtually gives so many more people access to hearing from the artists. I learned things today that I didn't know about some of the artwork. So that was really great for us as Dark Women and BLINC, and then for people in the community to learn more about your work. And thank everybody who took the time to join us today. And big up, I know Khalib is working behind the scenes, making all this magic happen, our volunteer Ashley as well. And listen, June 6th, 6:30 p.m., we're having a dope pool party called Splash. It's a closing party. So we'll follow Thou Art Woman on Instagram, THOUART Woman on Instagram, and blink.love, so you can know when tickets are going on sale real soon. And thank you everybody for joining us. Make sure you follow us, and just really appreciate this opportunity to have this chat with everybody.
Peace and blessings.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Share this video. Share it, everyone.
And this video will be available.
It's available. Yes.
Oh, oops. I thought the thing went over.
Our sponsors. Our fund.
Oh, you're right. That's
Broward.
crucial. That's crucial.
Yeah.
So this video will be available on YouTube or something?
It's right now available right now on Facebook. People can have it there, and yes, YouTube as well. And I love that this is up to make sure we thank our sponsors, our fund, Community Foundation of Broward, HF, Queer Mobilization Fund, our community partners.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.